Mike Williams was a young businessman on the rise in Tallahassee, Florida.
He was really coming into his own. There was almost nothing that he couldn't do.
Early one morning, he ventures out to Lake Seminole to go duck hunting and never returns.
It's such a tragedy that somebody like this has just vanished. Where is Mike?
Alarming stories start to surface.
Their evidence investigator told me your son fell out of his boat and bumped his head and drowned, and alligators ate him.
But as new evidence emerges, so do suspicions of foul play.
There are people who know what happened to Mike, or at least know a lot more about what happened that have never come forward.
If you ever like the mystery, you pick up this case and you read it. After second page, you're hooked.
Before dawn on December 16th, 2000, when Jerry Michael Williams, known to everyone as Mike, gears up for an early morning duck hunting trip, downs the last of his morning coffee, and heads out the door of his Tallahassee home.
He was always happiest outdoors. Michael was a hunter from the time he was 6 years old. He would be out with his little bow and arrow shooting at targets.
Mike's destination is Lake Seminole, Florida, a favorite spot where he has fished and hunted for 16 years. It's about 60 miles and a time zone away from Tallahassee. On his way, Mike stops off at work to pick up his shotgun. Though he is only 31, Mike Williams is already a successful commercial real estate appraiser in Tallahassee, and business is booming. His employer, Clay Ketchum, thinks highly of him.
He was really at a point in his career where he was really coming into his own. One thing Mike Williams loved was work. He really enjoyed it, really genuinely did, and he was a great worker for us. He had grown to where he was my primary real estate appraiser. There was almost nothing that he couldn't do.
Mike and his wife Denise are the parents of an 18-month-old girl. Everyone who knows Mike admires his devotion to Ansley, who is the apple of his eye.
He was thrilled to have the baby. That Ansley was the love of his life. In spite of his workload, Mike was always there for Ansley. Whatever Ansley needed, Mike was there. If he had to go home and cook supper for Ansley and then come back to work, he would do it.
Mike took on a lion's share of the responsibility in caring for his child.
He typically worked 12, 14, 16-hour days, got 3, 4, 5 hours sleep where he could, take the baby to the office with him, working and taking care of the baby. It was his life from that day when they had her.
On this day, Mike leaves his wife and little girl at home for a solo hunting trip. Dawn has broken by the time Mike pulls up to a dirt landing on the lake. It is chilly in the early morning silence. There is no one else around on the shore or on the water as he launches his motorboat, stows his rifle, and starts the engine.
Mike really enjoyed hunting alone. According to his mother, this was a way of obtaining solitude.
The craft moves across the water and weaves around the many tree stumps that clutter this part of the lake, which was formed by a dam in the 1950s. But Mike knows its contours like the back of his hand. Perhaps he has some luck this morning and brings down his prey. Perhaps not. No one will ever know. December 16th, 2000 is the day Mike Williams disappears. When Mike doesn't return home by noon, his wife Denise is fretful. It is their 6th wedding anniversary, and they have plans to go on an overnight trip to celebrate.
Sometime around noon or 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Denise became very concerned that Mike had not arrived home. She called her father, Warren Merrill, and to let him know that Mike was not home yet. Mike had favorite places he would go when he would hunt and fish, so Warren basically knew where to go.
Denise's father, Warren Merrill, and a friend of Mike's drive out to Lake Seminole to look for him. They locate his truck and boat trailer at the remote landing in Jackson County.
No boat, no Mike, but there it was. He realized something was wrong. At that point, he contacted the Florida Wildlife Commission.
In Florida, the Florida Wildlife Commission, or FWC, is responsible for trying to find missing hunters. The first officer on the scene arrives about 4 p.m.
I started to call in other officers to come help us search.
Mike's mother, Cheryl, is out for a walk when the news comes to her eldest son, Nick, that Mike is missing.
When I got back home, Nick was crying. And he said, "Mama, they can't find Mike." I said, "What do you mean they can't find Mike?" "Mama, he didn't come home at noon, and Warren went over there, and they can't find Mike."
On Lake Seminole, a full-scale search continues on and off into the night, interrupted by a severe storm, which brings with it freezing temperatures. Early in the morning of December 17th, Mike's best friend Brian Winchester and his father find Mike's boat along the lake's western shore, just 75 yards from the landing. When it is light, FWC agent Dave Arnett goes out with Brian to look at the boat and do an inventory of the contents.
I found 2 life jackets laying under a bag of decoys in the front of the boat, and a shotgun still in a zippered case along the edge of the driver's seat.
The boat has a Go Devil type motor, useful in shallow, weedy lakes. He checks out the gas tank.
I took the top off of the gas tank, and when I did, I immediately saw that it was absolutely full of gas, that it had not ran very long. So my feeling was that he had fell out of the boat near the landing.
Responders search the area. The water is only 3 to 5 feet deep here and is choked with vegetation, but there is no sign of Mike.
If Michael had fallen out there, you would have found his body.
The location of the boat is also surprising, given the heavy western winds of the storm the night before. The boat should have been blown to the eastern shore, not washed up on the west bank. After the first day passes with no sign of Mike, it is assumed that Williams is the victim of a tragic accident.
I felt very sad. We really felt like that Mike had drowned and that he would be found probably within a week or so.
Over the coming weeks, officers spend 735 man-hours over an unprecedented 56 days scouring a 10-acre patch of Lake Seminole for Mike Williams.
Many law enforcement agencies were involved in this initial search. But the initial search was for a missing person. It was for somebody who may have had an accident on the lake. This particular lake, it's not that infrequent to have a drowning victim.
We expected, to recover the body quite soon. We just had problems understanding why we weren't able to locate the subject.
As time goes on, the search party questions why Mike's body doesn't float to the surface.
Historically speaking, most people that do go missing in Lake Seminole eventually will surface and a body will be found. I believe that there is some data that says that Jerry Michael Williams was the only body that was never found out of Lake Seminole.
There were theories floating around that maybe he wasn't here, but we continued with our search as if he was here because we had no other indication that he would not be here. His vessel was here. He was a duck hunter on this lake.
There was just no trace of Mike. It was like he disappeared into thin air.
Soon, a troubling theory develops. People start saying that Mike must have pitched overboard, and the chest-high waders he wore for duck hunting had sucked him 8 feet to the bottom. The alligators that infest the lake, some up to 10 feet long, must have gotten to him before the searchers could.
Their evidence investigator said, "Miss Williams, I'm sorry to have to tell you, but your son fell out of his boat and bumped his head and drowned, and alligators ate him."
It is not an explanation Mike's mother can accept. Coming up, suspicions grow that the disappearance of Mike Williams is no accident.
So what are my other alternatives if he didn't get eaten by alligators? Did he walk off? Did somebody hurt him?
The intensive hunt at Lake Seminole, Florida for missing Tallahassee businessman Mike Williams continues through the Christmas holidays of 2000 into 2001.
When they were doing the search, they'd taken these big PVC poles and they were standing in boats and they were literally going down like every 6 inches, poking, trying to find a body, something.
By February, 2 months after he disappeared, there is still no sign of Mike Williams. But the theory that he may have been eaten by alligators gains traction.
This was no doubt the most exhaustive search in this lake, since the lake has been in existence since 1957. So there had been theories that started as far as what may have happened to Mike, why did he disappear? One of the earliest thoughts was that Mike may have been attacked and eaten by alligators.
There was this idea that was put forward that people believed. Mike Williams, the man eaten by alligators.
Mike's boss, Clay Ketchum, hears the theory that Mike might have been eaten by alligators from Mike's best friend, Brian Winchester.
And he said, I hate to even mention this to you, but there has been the thought process that an alligator has got him. And I just said, oh my gosh, and just felt sort of an uneasy, sick feeling in my stomach. That's the first time I had heard of the alligator eating theory.
Cheryl Williams, Mike's mother, refuses to believe such a terrible thing could have happened to her son. And Mike had always told her that alligators don't feed when it's cold.
I said, but that's not possible. Alligators don't eat in cold water. So then I called Florida State University and talked to their top alligator expert. And he said, no, your son could not have been eaten by alligators. Physiologically impossible. While it's a good theory, it won't hold up in your son's disappearance.
The evening Mike disappeared, a cold front moved through the area, and the weather for the next couple of weeks was freezing.
It got down to 19 degrees. It was very, very cold. They had like big 55-gallon drums that they would keep alit to warm the searchers. There's certainly no alligators moving in that kind of weather.
I've lived in Jackson County most of my adult life. In my experiences as a child playing in Lake Seminole, seeing alligators, I don't have any personal knowledge of anyone ever being attacked or eaten by an alligator in Jackson County.
Throughout the long vigil, friends and relatives all pitch in to help.
At the lake were Mike's closest buddies, I would guess. Mike's father-in-law, Mr. Merrill, was there. Brian Winchester was there, and his father, and I would kind of surmise that Mr. Winchester and his son Brian were sort of the lead dogs in this. Mike's very best friend was Brian Winchester. They often traveled together to hunt ducks in Louisiana, Texas. So they were just very, very close.
Mike's brother Nick is also a constant presence at the scene, poking the lake bottom, looking for any sign of Mike. As kids, they had been close, but in recent years have grown apart. Nick finds himself filled with regrets. At first, he believes Mike is drowned, but he becomes increasingly suspicious about what has happened to his little brother.
We'd pull up sticks and fishing reels, all kinds of debris, pieces of boats, just anything you can think of that might have fallen in a lake, but never found any trace of Mike or any of Mike's belongings.
Then, 10 days after Mike's disappearance, an FWC officer sees a hat floating in some weeds at the lake's edge.
Officer Perry and myself were searching, doing a grid pattern across the stumpy area, and we noticed a camouflage hat floating off to the east weed line of the search area. We collected the hat, which was a camouflage duck hunter's hat.
To the FWC officers, something seems odd about the find. The hat hadn't been there when they previously searched the area.
9 days prior to that, the hat was not there. There was nothing that we had found in an extensive search across the area. And on the 10th morning of the search, we found the hat floating there. The hat was like new. It had no slimy residue on it that things in Lake Seminole normally has. It appeared to have been recently bought or a new hat.
And Brian, Mike's friend, says, well, it looks like a hat that Michael had. But everybody at the search site knew that the hat had not been there for 2 weeks.
They tested it for DNA. It came back that Mike's head was not in this hat. They could not find any traces of DNA in there.
Mike's family can't help but wonder if the hat was placed there intentionally. They just don't know who would have done so, or why. In February, Mike's wife Denise decides to hold a memorial service for her husband.
Denise's father came to me and Nick, and he said, Denise needs to get on with her life. We need to have a memorial service. And I said, but we don't know that Mike's dead. He's in the lake. I told you he's in the lake. And Nick said, but we don't know that he's dead. But if she wants to have it, okay.
The memorial takes place on February 11th, the day after the search officially ends.
I thought Denise was brokenhearted. Anytime I was around her, she wasn't talking very much. She seemed really sad. She wasn't having very much to do with the baby. She was sleeping a lot.
For the authorities, the Mike Williams case is closed. FWC's accident report ends simply with the notation that the duck hunter remains missing. According to Cheryl, about a week after the memorial, Mike's friend Brian Winchester meets with an attorney to ask about the requirements to have someone declared dead without a body or death certificate. And while Denise Williams seems to want to put the tragedy behind her, her mother-in-law is not able to let the matter rest without proof her son is dead.
So what are my other alternatives if he didn't drown in the lake and he didn't get eaten by alligators? Did he walk off? That was not something I wanted to think either, because he loved that child so much and he loved Denise.
She tries to convince the authorities to investigate her son's disappearance as a criminal case. But she is unsuccessful. Still, she finds it hard to believe that Mike is dead and holds on to the hope he is alive somewhere. But if her beloved son is dead, Cheryl is certain that Mike didn't meet with an accidental death hunting on Lake Seminole. She believes his disappearance is due to foul play.
I couldn't think of anybody that would want to hurt my son. So what I did was I started listening. And I started writing down everything that everybody said. And all these different things just didn't add up.
Coming up, Mike's mother finally gets a criminal investigation going. But is it too little, too late?
Absent Mike's body, absent any trace of him, without any kind of physical evidence at all, it is incredibly difficult to crack this case.
Mike Williams' disappearance leaves a hole in his mother Cheryl's heart. Her husband Jerry has recently died after a short illness. Now she has also lost her youngest son. Mike had risen to affluence, making $250,000 a year as a real estate appraiser, but he had begun his life in modest circumstances. His father was a Greyhound bus driver, and his mother has always made ends meet by taking care of other people's children along with her own. Mike and his brother Nick grew up in a double-wide trailer surrounded by woods in the countryside. A deeply religious woman, Cheryl scrimped and saved to send her sons to a private Christian school in Tallahassee.
That's where he met a lot of people that I would say are from a higher socioeconomic background, lawyers and professional engineers, those types of things. I think that that was part of why Mike was driven so much to earn money, but also to be respected and earn the respect of his peers.
Mike was popular and on the football team. In the 9th grade, he met Denise Merrill, a new student. They fell in love.
She told me, she said, Miss Williams, I saw Mike on the first day, and I knew he was it. I loved her. I thought she was wonderful for Mike. Her family was one of the best families in Tallahassee, and she was beautiful. I was proud of her.
At school, Mike also met Denise's childhood friend, Brian Winchester, and all three often hung around together. They were all friends until the day Mike Williams disappeared. Mike was president of the senior class, and Denise was voted best dressed. After they graduated from college, Mike and Denise got married. But after the wedding, Mike's mother and brother Nick say, they didn't see Denise very much.
When he got married, he didn't talk too much about the marriage, about what was going on in his life. Mom, Dad, and me didn't get invited over too much. They pretty much kept to themselves.
When Mike brought his daughter to visit, he usually came alone.
I always had the feeling that Denise just really didn't like any of us that much, kind of looked down on us. Denise just went out of her way not to visit that much, even when Mike was there.
Still, Mike's family never thought there was anything wrong in the marriage. The official search for Mike Williams ends in February 2001. Then in June, 6 months after he disappeared, a new piece of evidence floats to the surface of Lake Seminole and raises questions. A fisherman on the lake finds a pair of waders drifting in a spot he has fished many times since Mike disappeared. He calls the Fish and Game Service to come and examine them.
The waders were not slimy. After 6 months, they should have been slimy. They were clean waders. They were like new.
They were completely pristine. There were no alligator teeth marks. Now, they had always told family and friends that when we find the waders, we will find Mike. Mike will be in them. Well, when that happened, people who heard about that, the mystery really intensified.
The waders are shown to Mike's friend, Brian Winchester. He can't make a positive identification, but says they look like waders Mike used.
Forensic checks were done on the waders, and there was no way to actually link these waders to Mike.
They determined that there was no genetic material inside the waders, and they actually gave the waders to the father-in-law. After they found the waders, the family or friend of the victim contacted a pretty renowned local diver.
The diver goes into the water where the waders were found, and minutes later he surfaces with a jacket and a flashlight. Both appear to be in pristine condition, not slimy as they should be if they had been sitting on the bottom of the lake for 6 months. In the pocket is a hunting license with Mike Williams' name on it.
You could read his driver's license number, his address, and you could even still see his signature. I mean, just as plain as if he'd read it yesterday. And the light was a little cheap light, probably not waterproof, and probably not waterproof for 6 months. But they recovered it, clicked it on, and it was still operational.
Despite the suspicious condition of these new pieces of evidence, there is still no criminal investigation into Mike's disappearance, and no public scrutiny. Not long after the items are found, Cheryl Williams discovers that her daughter-in-law, Denise, has applied to a probate court in Florida to have Mike declared legally dead.
Florida law indicates that somebody must be missing for a period of 7 years before they are declared dead. However, that can be changed if there are circumstances which come up which may prove that somebody may have perished of an accident, homicide, or whatever. Then that can be changed and brought up before the court.
Though Mike Williams has been missing for just 6 months, little more than a week after the waders, jacket, and license are found in Lake Seminole, his widow submits their discovery as evidence to the circuit court in Tallahassee. The judge grants a presumptive certificate of death. Shortly afterwards, Denise Williams collects the proceeds of Mike's life insurance, at least $1.5 million.
We were not told one thing about anything.
These items were used and mentioned in the probate hearing to get Mike declared dead, prominently saying, here these waders were found, here this jacket was found. And a hearing that Cheryl Williams was never made aware of, that happened very quietly and very quickly.
Cheryl Williams is devastated by the news that Mike is declared dead. She is more convinced than ever that there is something shady going on. And she has new suspicions about why Denise was so eager to have a memorial service so soon after Mike disappeared.
One thing we did learn was that in order to declare somebody dead, you have to hold a public service saying that they're dead.
Her efforts to initiate an investigation don't sit well with Denise Williams. According to Cheryl and Nick Williams, Denise threatens her mother-in-law that if she persists, she will be sorry.
She and her daddy told us, if you do anything to get a criminal investigation, you're going to lose Ansley. I mean, it wasn't just a veiled threat, it was a statement. you'll lose Ansley. She said, I've got to go on with my life. I don't want to be bothered with anything else. I don't ever want to hear Mike's name again, and I don't want to know anything that has to do with him.
But the threat of losing contact with her granddaughter only intensifies Cheryl's search for the truth.
People have said, you had a granddaughter, you should have let it go because it can't do anything but hurt her. But I also had a son, and I didn't have anybody looking for him but me.
It takes 3.5 years, but finally in 2004, a family friend helps Cheryl get her suspicions before an investigator at the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. An investigation is finally launched into the disappearance of Mike Williams. Several different law enforcement agencies look into the case, and in the end, they all agree.
Is it more than likely Mike did not disappear at the lake, that something happened to Mike maybe before he went to the lake?
The investigators face overwhelming challenges. At no time in the 56-day search for Mike Williams was his disappearance investigated as a possible crime.
Nothing was handled in the way that investigators normally would handle, let's say, a crime scene.
His home was never searched. Neither were his boat and trailer, which were driven off and left at Brian Winchester's father's home for months. The searchers trampled all over the places where his boat and truck were found, obliterating any possible evidence. The items taken from the lake were not preserved.
There's this laxness about it, which I think is born of not really a conspiracy in any way, of just people making assumptions that what they had was a boating accident, never even imagining for a second that they could have an actual crime, that there could be foul play involved. And I think from the outset, that has hindered this investigation, because without some sort of physical evidence, absent Mike's body, absent any trace of him, it is incredibly difficult to crack this case.
Coming up, a reporter shines new light on the case.
Almost every person that I talked to said they thought it was strange from the very beginning, and listed reasons why.
After an official investigation begins into Mike Williams' disappearance, authorities are soon convinced that it is a suspicious missing persons case. Lake Seminole is in Jackson County, Florida, and Derek Wester, an investigator with the Jackson County Sheriff's Department, is pulled into the case in 2004.
If you were ever an investigator, then you know what I'm talking about. Or if you've ever investigated a mystery, you pick up this case and you read it. After second page, you're hooked. You're like, oh, I can solve this, I can solve this.
Wester left law enforcement in 2010, but he worked on the Mike Williams case longer than any other investigator, and he still feels a responsibility to Mike's mother, Cheryl.
You feel that hurt and that loss that she's got. I think that Ms. Williams deserves to know. I told her I'd do whatever I could.
He shares an opinion about the case with other law enforcement.
I think that he was the victim of foul play.
Wester believes the timing of the discovery of the waders and other evidence in Lake Seminole, so close to the hearing to determine Mike dead, is suspiciously convenient.
It was either God sent or man sent, would be my best. Either somebody put it there or God put it there, because it hadn't been there for the last 6 months.
When he begins his investigation in 2004, Wester learns the Florida Division of Insurance had conducted a quiet investigation of its own back in 2001. The agency thought it was curious that Mike's widow, Denise, had filed a claim on one of his life insurance policies just 20 days after he went missing, while the search for him was still going on.
Mike had 3 very large insurance policies, and before the actual search was ended in February of 2001, his spouse, Denise, went ahead and started to explore the possibilities of obtaining some insurance monies. At some point, the Florida Department of Insurance actually got involved and started to check on the timing of the insurance policies.
Mike's boss, Clay Ketchum, knew about one of the insurance policies because Mike had asked his advice about buying it just 6 months before he disappeared.
Should he get $1 million worth of coverage, or should he get a lesser amount? And I said, well, get all the life insurance you can.
Clay also knew that Mike had been having some trouble in his marriage.
probably 30 days prior to his disappearance, he shared with me some issues that he was having at home. You know, for Mike, he was very vocal about it in terms of he wasn't happy with the way things were.
But Clay didn't tell the first insurance investigator who questioned him about the marital problems, feeling it would violate his friend's confidence. Though he had reason to wonder why Denise was so in need of money, since he was still paying her Mike's residual income.
Denise continued to receive checks, and so I felt like there was enough, you know, cash flow there to certainly, and I certainly disclosed to Denise how much money would be coming in, and it was probably a year and a half after Mike's disappearance before the checks finally stopped.
So there didn't seem to be a desperate need for the money.
In 2004, there is a new development. Denise is now openly dating Mike's best friend, Brian Winchester, who has gotten divorced from his wife.
It was probably just a few years after Mike disappeared that Denise came out and told us that she and Brian were dating.
That same year, the FDLE launches a criminal investigation together with Derek Wester from the Jackson County Sheriff's Office.
You have to have motive for a crime, and there's only 2 people that benefited from Mike Williams' death, and that was a pretty substantial amount of money. So, to me, there's always been 2 persons of interest.
During the course of the investigation, Wester interviews Brian Winchester.
And we got a call shortly thereafter that he had retained an attorney and he didn't want to speak with us anymore. And then the same attorney also advised us that the widow, Miss Williams, didn't want to be a part of it. They wanted to put it behind them.
Shortly afterward, in 2005, Brian and Denise marry. They continue to live in the home Mike had bought in an upscale suburb of Tallahassee. Meanwhile, Cheryl continues to do everything she can to call attention to her son's suspicious disappearance. Jennifer Portman, a senior reporter for the Tallahassee Democrat, never even hears about the Mike Williams case until 2006, when she sees an ad in her paper placed by Cheryl. It immediately catches her attention.
That says, "Have you seen my son?" And it was a large ad. I'm like, this is interesting. I proceed to read. It says, "My name is Cheryl Ann Williams. My son has been missing since December 16th, 2000. They said first he was eaten by alligators. Now they think he was the victim of foul play." I mean, it was this very compelling, long thing. And I'm like, alligators, missing guy, investigation. And the second I saw that, I'm like, this is a story that we need to follow up on. It was a compelling mystery.
She pokes her nose into the case, digging up court records, talking to almost everyone who was ever involved in investigating his disappearance. Though there was never much media coverage of the case, she learns that to many in Tallahassee, a small city and gossipy state capital, the case is something of a legend.
Almost every person that I talked to 6 years later said they thought it was strange from the very beginning and listed reasons why.
Her articles bring in new leads, and it is clear from her interviews with law enforcement that the focus on what happened to Mike has shifted. By 2006, investigators doubt Mike was ever at the lake that December day 6 years before. They think the entire scene appears set up to deceive law enforcement and members of his family about what really happened to him.
They're convinced now that he never made it to the lake and that he was murdered, most possibly just in his own house. And then the events were all staged to make it look like a hunting accident. That's leading law enforcement opinions.
And the mystery is, if Mike never left his house to go hunting, how did those items get out there?
Take 2 people. One drives that truck, one drives another truck. He pulls up, unhooks it, pushes it out. It wouldn't be hard at all to stage this.
There are people who know what happened to Mike, or at least know a lot more about what happened that night or that morning, that have never come forward.
Coming up, could new revelations lead to Mike Williams' killers?
They have new evidence that they're going over, and I hope that it's something that they can use to charge and convict somebody.
Investigators had a pretty good case. But then, late in 2008, the fraud investigation is closed, citing a lack of sufficient evidence that insurance fraud had occurred.
I thought we was going to be able to make an arrest, but For some reason, nobody ever got arrested. I don't know why the warrant was never applied for or issued.
Over the years, Derek Wester has worked with an ever-changing cast of investigators on the Mike Williams case from a number of agencies. So many, he finds it puzzling.
It's odd. FDLE reassigned the case to, I don't know, 4 or 5 different agents that I know of. And then they get pulled off the case and somebody else gets reassigned.
Mike Devaney is the latest FDLE officer to tackle the Williams case. He says the agency has never dropped the ball on the investigation.
There has not been a year since 2000 where there hasn't been something investigatively going on with this case. We have a tremendous amount of information, and we are re-examining.
I really think that FDLE is on the right track now. They've got new angles, and I honestly believe that they're really working on it now.
Derek Wester stopped actively working on the case in 2008, but he says he keeps an eye and ear on it even now.
They have some new information. They have new evidence that they're going over, and I hope that it's something that they can use to charge and convict somebody.
The FDLE says they have persons of interest, but won't officially identify them. Neither Denise nor Brian Winchester has been named as a suspect or charged with any crime. Nevertheless, some people are curious about Mike's widow and former best friend.
I don't know if they did it or not, and I just don't have any reason to suspect that they did. I just have this incomplete loop in my life where, and all of us do that loved Mike, that we don't know what happened.
It seems that if anyone should be questioning what happened to Mike, you think it would be his wife and his best friend. I mean, the facts are there for them as they are for everyone else, and they won't really comment on this.
In an email, Brian Winchester declined our interview request to him and his wife, Denise. In spite of everything, Cheryl Williams still holds out hope her son is alive.
I've always had 2 choices. Mike's dead or he's alive. Until they can bring me his body or proof of his body, I don't have to believe that he's dead. I can still hold out that hope that he's alive.
She knows she is the only one, but that is her duty as a mom. Until she knows for sure, she is not going to let him go. And I know that as every day passes and every year passes, it's a crushing burden.
And of course, there is another possible explanation for Mike's disappearance. He may have arranged it himself.
The pressure of work, the workaholic nature in him got the best of him, and he just said, I can't stand the pressure anymore.
Some people say that he's down in Costa Rica or Mexico or somewhere sitting on a beach, drinking drinks with funny little umbrellas.
But those who know him best discount that theory.
My brother was not the kind of man who would just walked up, picked up and left.
Ansley was his pride and joy. That father deeply loved that child. I can't imagine him in a million years leaving that child.
There were investigative steps to try to determine, did Mike do this? And those came up negative. There's no evidence that Mike had a different identity or is living in Rio.
And so that only leaves one other possibility, and that's that somebody hurt him and have done something with him.
Cheryl Williams can't rest until she gets an answer, one way or the other.
I can't even begin to tell you how horrible it is. It's in my head all the time. My youngest child is not here, and I don't know how he died, if he's dead. I don't know where he is, if he's alive. All I've had is people lie to me, tell me, you're crazy, Miss Williams. He got eaten by alligators. Leave him in the bottom of the lake.
As Cheryl Williams cares for children at her home daycare business, she remembers the child she has lost, and that child's child. She hasn't seen her granddaughter Ansley since October of 2004, but she hopes one day to reconnect with Mike's child. Each year on Ansley's birthday, she puts an ad in the paper to tell her she still loves her.
If I had not done what I did for all these years, not one other person in this world would have questioned his disappearance. 80 people have drowned in Lake Seminole. Mike's is the only body that never came up.
Intrepid as ever, Cheryl still pickets in Tallahassee from time to time with a homemade sign to remind people Mike is still missing. She and Nick put up posters but they are often quickly torn down. Still, many people hold out hope for answers for Cheryl and the community.
I think everyone wants to get Cheryl that closure, even if it is that she finally has to face the fact that Mike is dead. At least that is closure. It is this open-endedness that is just a torment.
It's a haunting experience for my wife and I, and we just don't know. I just know he's missing.
All the facts in this case that I've been able to learn is there are people who know what happened to Mike. If those people would come forward and give some sort of plausible explanation for what happened, that could set this investigation on a whole different track. Absent that, you're just left to wonder what did happen.
When a person disappears without a trace, often the most critical information is hidden in their actions and words from the days before they vanished. Lily Armburo's last known whereabouts may hold the clues to what happened to her. A 23-year-old new mother, Lily Armburo is busy getting her life back on track.
She started taking care of things in her life that had been neglected in the past. So it was a very happy time for her.
But then, late one night, she disappears.
But she left everything at my house. And I'm like, this doesn't make any sense.
And even as her loved ones mount a massive search,
I thought I was gonna find my daughter like in the next corner.
months go by with no sign of Lily, and new suspicions take shape.
I don't think we've been told the truth.
Somebody knows something, somebody saw something, and I need to know where my daughter is, dead or alive. I need to find out what happened to her.
Lily Armburo has recently given birth to a son named Paulden.
Oh, she was the happiest mother. She was dedicated and very proud of her baby.
She is also newly engaged to her boyfriend, Christian Pacheco.
I thought this is what Lily needs, somebody that can support her emotionally, you know, somebody stronger, having already some kind of like life going. And I thought it was gonna be a good thing.
We were in love. We had a good time. We enjoyed each other's company.
After a few months of being together, Lily decides to move into Christian's condo in Kendall.
I felt as if Lily was on the right track. She was taking care of herself. She seemed fine.
But Lily's path has not always been a smooth one. Growing up in Miami, Lily had lots of friends and was known as a sweet, peaceful girl who loved nature.
She would like to be in the park or just being in nature, whatever it was. Even if it's just walking anywhere, she will like pay attention to a tree, a flower, a bird, any kind of animals. She would admire everything and feel part of it.
But in her teen years, Lily begins spending more and more time with her friends.
The crowd that she was hanging out with, they were having a lot of fun, but also they was started to be a little too much fun. So they were a little bit out of control.
Lucely begins to grow concerned about her daughter's extracurricular activities.
I'm sure there was a lot of alcohol involved, a lot of partying, possibly pot at that time, if not other drugs.
Before long, Lily drops out of high school, and she starts spending many nights away from home.
One of the times I did not hear from her for about 2-3 weeks, which is, you know, almost the longest that I ever been without contact.
Lucely finds out why her daughter isn't communicating from one of Lily's friends. Lily has started experimenting with heroin.
And of course, I panicked and I looked for help, and I went to look for her.
Lucely drives all over Miami for 2 days, searching for her daughter. And then, near a park in Coconut Grove, something catches her eye.
I saw some rocks and I saw a little head, and I just recognized my daughter's hair. And I stopped, and sure enough, that was her. She did not look good. She looked very, very weak. And I just looked at her and broke my heart. I never seen her so skinny and so bad in my life.
Over the next few years, Lily becomes increasingly involved with heroin and crack. Her life seems to be spiraling downward. And then, in January of 2006, Lily gets some life-changing news. She is pregnant with her boyfriend's child.
She was surprised. She wasn't expecting that. She was very happy.
For Lily, finding out she was pregnant provided an incentive to turn her life around.
She definitely wanted to stop the use of drugs, and she wanted to change her life knowing that there was another person coming into life and she was responsible for it.
She changed completely. She was very positive. She started taking care of things in her life that had been neglected in the past. So it was a very happy time for her.
To Lily's mother and her close friend Janet Forte, it looks like Lily is finally headed in the right direction.
She was thrilled about it, and it was the happiest moment, the happiest time of her life.
In September of 2006, Lily gives birth to a baby boy and names him Paulden.
She was nurturing, very loving. She was always holding him, always carrying him and hugging him.
In the meantime, Lily breaks up with her boyfriend and starts getting closer to one of her friends, Christian Pacheco.
I told her, I was always in love with you. I always loved you. And she's like, I love you. I've always had those feelings for you.
What happened, I believe, after Lily giving birth, she felt a little bit too lonely. And Christian was always pursuing her, telling her that he would always be there and offering all these things for her, that security, comfort.
Within a month, Christian and Lily are engaged to be married. And that's when Lily moves into Christian's condo.
We talked and I said, you want to stay? You want to move in? She's like, yeah, I do. So that's how we ended up living together.
At first, things seemed to be going well.
Lily was happy to be with Christian.
It felt, like we were a family. We would take walks at night together. There were many times we go out to the beach, swimming in the water and having fun.
But all too soon, Lucelli starts to notice a change in her daughter.
I can just tell that she wasn't all that happy. It was just that she wasn't open. She would not tell me what was going on. I thought they were probably having a little bit of, adjusting problems and stuff.
I thought, being that I hadn't heard from her, I thought it was a good thing. I thought that she was getting her life in order with her fiancé.
What Lily's mother and her friend Janet don't know is that Lily is back on drugs. Both she and Christian have been using heroin and crack cocaine, sometimes for days on end.
After 3 days of that, your mind starts, just playing tricks on you and getting the better of you. And that's where the problem started. You should be very agitated, very on edge about the littlest things.
Lily and Christian begin fighting frequently. On several occasions, the police are called to the condo.
I didn't know they were fighting until one day that they called me up and said that there was an argument at the house and the police was there and child services were involved. That's when I knew they were fighting a lot. Paulden was removed from the house. He went to a foster home while Lily was in drug court.
Lily is devastated.
This day had taken her pride and joy away from her, and I couldn't do anything for her. Except try to be there to console her, and talk to her and say, look, we just have to do the right thing. So whatever process they want you to go through, we got to go through.
Lily checks into a local rehab program. hoping that she can regain custody of Paulden after a 3-month stay.
It was a live-in facility, and it was one of the best. So she was very happy about that. She was ready.
But after just 2 weeks, Christian gets a discouraging call from Lily.
Wednesday, she calls me up and says that I'm out. And she's crying.
Lily has relapsed. She had failed a mandatory drug test and was kicked out of the program.
Christian picked her up and took her to his house. I wasn't allowed to be with her at the moment because she had no visitations with the baby. And that same day that she got released from the rehab, I got temporary custody of the baby. So she wasn't allowed to be near the baby at that time.
Lucely goes home alone with Paulden, desperate to help her daughter, but unsure how to do it. At 2 a.m. on June 2nd, Lucely's phone rings. It's Christian, and he has some disturbing news.
I'm sleeping and I get this phone call from Christian telling me that Lily walked out of the house and that she hasn't coming back and that he filed a missing persons report.
Christian tells Lucely that Lily had left the house the night before after arguing with Christian. Lucely is not sure what to make of Christian's call.
I thought that was odd, but I didn't think much of it. They probably had a fight and that she was gonna come back.
At the time, Lucely has no idea that Lily has disappeared. Coming up, a troubling incident might shed light on Lily's disappearance.
She was just really, really drunk, and she tried to hang herself in my closet. I broke the pole down, put her on the bed. She's still frantic, still crying.
On June 1st, 2007, 23-year-old Lily Aramburu has walked out of her boyfriend Christian's condo. After 2 days, she still hasn't come home, and Lily's loved ones are becoming concerned.
The only thing that I remember her telling me is Christian says Lily went missing and he already reported her missing, not to worry.
I thought that she just had a fight with Christian and she went to somebody else's house for a while, but she was gonna call me and let me know that she was okay, and that just never happened.
According to the police report that Christian filed, Lily had walked out of the condo at around 2 a.m. the night before. He also told police what Lily had been wearing and what she might be carrying with her.
What I did see her last wearing was a nightgown. She was sitting at my desk playing with a pair of my bungee cords. And the next day, I looked around the house and I couldn't find them.
Strangely, the bungee cords Christian used on his bike rack are missing, but Lily had left everything else behind.
She left her phone there, she left her purse there, she left everything at my house. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. It's like, why would she leave everything? You know, if she was gonna leave, why wouldn't she at least take a phone with her or something?
Days go by with no word from Lily. So Lily's mother and her friend Janet decide to pay Christian a visit to find out more about the events leading up to Lily's disappearance.
Christian didn't know that we were coming. We showed up at his house, and he was very, very nervous and very energetic.
They immediately start asking Christian questions about the night of May 31st.
And he started telling us, what happened.
According to Christian, after he picked Lily up from rehab, they decided to buy drugs at a rundown crack house in Coconut Grove. From there, they went back to the condo with 2 friends, EJ and Kelly. At one point, Kelly leaves the room.
I guess it was too noisy out in the living room floor, so she went into the bedroom, lay down. Lily and I were talking, and she got upset that Kelly went into the bedroom. So she was like, you want to be with Kelly now, blah, blah, blah.
Christian promises Lily that nothing is going on between Kelly and him, and asks Kelly to leave their bedroom.
I went back to talk to Kelly. He said, look, give us our room tonight. Lily's not in a good mood.
But before Christian returns to the living room, Lily leaves.
I figured maybe she went to, a lot of times when Lily's upset, she likes to pick flowers. She likes to just have her peaceful time with nature. But then, you know, as the day went on to the next night, I was really starting to get panicky. Like, what happened? Like, where did she go? Why would she just disappear on me like this?
One possible theory is that Lily is still out wandering the street in a drug-induced fog. But another element of Christian's police report raises a more troubling possibility.
Lily was diagnosed with schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, and depression.
The diagnosis had come during Lily's stint at rehab the previous month.
I was in shock that a person can have all these diagnoses at once. I knew she was depressed, and I thought it was postpartum depression.
Lily was also on medication for depression and anxiety. And according to Christian, she had stopped taking it. One possibility investigators must consider is that Lily has taken her own life. She may have even used the bungee cords to hang herself somewhere outside her home. In fact, according to Christian, she had tried to hang herself just a few weeks earlier.
She was just really, really drunk, and she tried to hang herself in my closet. I broke the pole down, put her on the bed. She's still frantic, still crying, you know, and, you know, finally was able to calm her down and went to bed that night.
Despite Lily's recent psychological evaluation, Lucely and Janet cannot believe that she has committed suicide.
Killing herself, not even in the moment like that was so bad, Lily would have done it. It wasn't on her.
They also don't think she left intentionally.
At that time, I really didn't know what to think, but I felt as if something was wrong. I felt uneasy and worried. I did not think it was a possibility that she simply took off.
Still, Lily's mother decides to continue looking for Lily all over Miami.
I got in the car and I started looking on the areas that I thought she could possibly be, to the extreme. I was very scared in a way, but I knew I had to do that, so I did. And I ended up being in the worst places ever, like horrible crack houses.
For weeks, Lucely maintains the hope that she will find Lily alive.
Every time I went there, I thought, oh, the next 5 minutes, I'm gonna find her.
Meanwhile, the police conduct searches of the area surrounding the condo. But they find nothing. And then, Lily's mother gets a surprise call from Christian. Two of his friends have seen Lily.
Christian told me that this person had called him and told him that he had seen Lily in downtown Miami.
Lucely immediately calls one of the men to confirm the sighting.
And I said, are you sure? Tell me exactly, where did you see her? Did you talk to her? What was she wearing? And he just assured me that it was her, that he talked to her, you know, that it was real.
With fresh hope that her daughter is alive somewhere in Miami, Lucely and Janet renew their search. Coming up, suspicions grow about the very person who reported Lily missing.
His behavior was very strange, and he would not look at us. It sticks out a lot because he did not act like a concerned boyfriend or fiancé.
Lily Aramburo's mother and her friend Janet Forte have been searching all over Miami for Lily ever since she disappeared on June 1st, 2007. And now that two of her friends have supposedly seen Lily downtown, they intensify their search.
Her mom and I went out looking for Lily. We went all over town, up and down, over town, Coconut Grove, Kendall. Everywhere and anywhere we thought that we might hear something or find her.
I thought I was gonna find my daughter like in the next corner. And I did that for about 3-4 months. I thought I was gonna see her coming home. Every phone call, I thought it was her.
But they find no sign of Lily anywhere.
I think I started feeling as if something was really wrong after about 2 months. Before then, I was hoping, I was just praying to God that she was somewhere and she'd turn up. But the fact that so much time had passed and she had not made a phone call was very, very strange, especially for a new mother. I mean, she loved her son so much. I just could not see her walking away from him.
And as Lucely and Janet think back over the events surrounding Lily's disappearance, they begin to wonder about one of the last people to have seen Lily. Her fiancé, Christian Pacheco.
I started having this feeling that that was something odd.
For one, Lucely wonders why Christian waited an entire day before filing a missing persons report.
I called the police earlier, but they said you can't file a missing persons report for 24 to 48 hours unless it's a minor. Should I file the report Sunday morning? Maybe. I don't know, but I wasn't thinking about that. I was worried about where she was. I wanted to find her.
Lucely also wonders why Christian never called her before he called the police to see if she had heard from Lily.
At one point, I thought Kelly had talked to Lily's mom, or somebody talked to Lily's mom.
And when Janet thinks back about Christian's behavior when they met a few days after Lily disappeared, she becomes even more suspicious.
His behavior was very strange, and he would not look at us. He would be talking, but he was cleaning his house at the time. It sticks out a lot because he did not act like a concerned boyfriend or fiancé.
Janet and Lucely begin to think Christian may know more than he is saying. Although he says his behavior at the time was the result of his emotional anguish.
I was spiraling into such depression, and I was going to Overtown buying 20 bags of dope a day, trying to basically overdose. I just wanted to dull the pain of her being gone. I was feeling abandoned.
Still, Lily's mother and her friend Janet Forte make their suspicions known to the Miami-Dade Police Department. In the meantime, all Janet and Lucely can do is continue their search.
We never stopped. Every moment that we had to search for her, we did. And always hoping that there was a lead out there, a tip out there, that someone had seen her, that we can get information. But that never happened.
More than a year has gone by since Lily Aramburu first went missing. And both Janet and Lucely feel that not enough is being done to find her.
Because of my frustration with police, frustration with the media, I decided I had to do something. I couldn't just sit by and just wait for her to come back. I had to find out, what I can actively do to help.
Janet launches a social media campaign to spread the word about Lily's disappearance.
I started the blog, and after that, I started doing Twitter and Facebook for her.
And then, in September of 2008, Janet's hard work pays off.
Finally, someone was kind enough to write an article on our local paper, the Miami New Times.
That's when private investigators Joe Carrillo and Anna Lanuza read about the case and decide to offer their services pro bono. Finally, Lily's disappearance is attracting some attention.
We took on the case because Lily Aramburu is a mother and somebody's daughter. and she's lost and she needs to be found. It was my opinion, just from reading the article, that the police department probably was not doing all that they could.
At the same time, the article seems to provoke some renewed interest from police, specifically in Christian Pacheco.
The police just jumped into action, and they picked up Christian soon after, and they took him in to take the polygraph.
But when the results come in, Janet and Lucelli's suspicions seem to be put to rest.
And from what the detective told us was that Christian passed it. He passed the polygraph.
If you pass a polygraph, that goes pretty far in eliminating you from being a person of interest with us or law enforcement. So that took our focus away from Christian.
But in order to get a clearer idea of the sequence of events on the night Lily disappeared, Joe Carrillo and Anna Lanuza decide to meet with the last known people to have seen Lily: Kelly, EJ, and Christian. According to Carrillo, Kelly tells them all about the events of that night, including the argument between Lily and Christian.
And we also asked her where else Lily may have gone, because the article said that she just walked out and left. And there was only one other place that Kelly knew of, and that was a home in Coconut Grove that was a crack house.
It was a place we'd stopped over earlier that day.
According to Christian, the house was home to an array of unsavory activities.
Guys pimping out their girlfriends or forcing their girlfriends to have intercourse with people for drugs. Standard crack house. The floors were tore up. The walls were tore up. There was no toilet. There was no running water. There was no refrigerator. There's no electricity.
Joe Carrillo and Anna Lanuza find out that one of the men who hangs out at the house has an extensive criminal record that includes second-degree murder. And they begin to wonder if Lily went to the house in Coconut Grove and became the victim of foul play.
I really felt that that's what could have happened, that she went over there and something happened.
It's hard to speculate what may have happened in that house. All I know as an investigator is that she had frequented the house before, and there is a person in that house that has killed somebody before.
Coming up, a stunning revelation in the case documents leads investigators to a new suspect.
I didn't fall out of my chair because I think it was a big chair, you know, and I said, what?
Private investigators Joe Carrillo and Anna Lanuza have stumbled on a new lead in the mysterious disappearance of 23-year-old Lily Aramburo. They think that Lily may have walked or hitchhiked to a rundown crack house in Coconut Grove.
In the heat of our little argument, when I was trying to get Kelly out of the room and she had left, you know, I thought, yeah, maybe she had hitchhiked over there.
The private investigators begin looking into everyone connected to the house.
So how do we get to what happened there? I tried to talk to the individual who ran that house.
After numerous attempts, Joe finally reaches the man on the phone.
Then I said, listen, I think some girl may have died in that house. I says, I'm not a cop. I won't even work with the cops if you'll trust me, but I need to find this girl.
The owner doesn't give Joe much information, but Joe learns from another source that the man who had served time for second-degree murder is currently out on bond on an open cocaine charge. The timing would be perfect to pick him up for questioning, but Joe doesn't have the authority.
What I want to do is build a case and hand it over to the detectives who can do something to this guy. We're limited in what we can do. We were basically out there gathering facts to pass it on to law enforcement so they could do what they do.
But after briefly investigating the crack house, the police take no further action. Soon, with all the leads running out and a police force that cannot commit the necessary resources to the investigation, the case goes cold. "2 years have gone by with no new leads. Lily's son, Paulden, is now 3 years old. And to mark Lily's 26th birthday, Lily's mother and Janet Forte decide to take a drastic step to raise awareness.
We thought it would be a good idea to have a hunger strike. We felt it was extreme, but for us, it was the only thing that would get the attention, that we were looking for.
Janet and I just sat down in downtown Miami for a whole week in a hunger strike, trying to get attention because at the time we were really frustrated that nobody would pick up the story and nobody knew that Lily was missing. We were very frustrated with the police. They never really did much, and they weren't sharing anything, any information of the little bit of work that they were doing. So we were in limbo, really.
Así es que tal, muy buenas noches. Una madre desesperada que ha logrado...
Several local Spanish media outlets cover the hunger strike. But sadly, the renewed attention to the case doesn't bring in any fresh information.
So I think the whole Miami knew that Lily was missing, but we never got a lead.
Still, by December of 2010, their efforts may be finding some traction. Miami-Dade homicide detective Ray Hoadley hears about the case from a colleague and volunteers to take it on himself.
I made a decision and asked the people that I work for in the Homicide Bureau if we could take a look at the case and review it. And they agreed to let me do that.
And from, the moment I met him, I knew that, things were gonna get better for the investigation. And it was the first time in 3 years that I felt, positive, and he changed my whole view of the police department, this man.
Detective Hoadley begins his investigation by going through all of the existing case files.
It seemed like there was a lot of information in the file, but a lot of the information hadn't been verified.
It also seems to Detective Hoadley that the story in the initial police report doesn't quite make sense.
It just seemed very unusual that a female would walk out of an apartment at 2 o'clock in the morning wearing only a nightgown, without any money, without any credit cards, without a phone, when all that was available to her at the apartment she left from.
And as Detective Hoadley sifts through the case files, he comes upon a document relating to Lily's fiancé, Christian Pacheco, that could dramatically redirect the rest of the investigation. It's the polygraph test, administered to Christian in 2008.
We found the polygraph report in the case file which showed that he had not passed it. There was deception noted to the question, do you know what happened to Lily? During my initial briefing with missing persons, I was told that he had, in fact, passed a polygraph.
Joe Carrillo, Janet, and Lucelli had also been told that Christian passed the test, with no deception indicated.
And I didn't fall out of my chair because I think it was a big chair, and I said, what? He said, Christian failed his polygraph. I said, the one they gave him in 08? And he says, yes.
It appears that somehow the results had initially been miscommunicated to everybody. And suddenly, the focus of the investigation shifts dramatically.
So after that was when the investigation was turned towards Christian.
But before Detective Hoadley meets with Christian himself, he needs to essentially start from scratch.
So we started at the very beginning and tried to redo the entire investigation.
Now, Lily's mother and her friend Janet Forte have newfound hope that Paulden may someday find out what happened to his mother. Coming up, suspicions grow, and Lily's mother becomes even more desperate for answers.
Somebody knows something, somebody saw something, and I need to know where my daughter is, dead or alive.
It's been more than 3 years since Lily Aramburu disappeared, and now homicide detective Ray Hoadley has taken over the investigation. He begins by looking into each possible scenario to see what he can rule out. First, he returns to Lily's last known whereabouts, Christian Pacheco's condo, to be sure that Lily's body is nowhere in the vicinity.
So we came back
and search that property. We had canine come out. We had cadaver dogs that were used.
He went out on Christmas week. I'll never forget. They went diving into the canal behind the apartment. They cut down huge amount of weeds looking for Lily.
And we used aviation to photograph the area and document what we were doing.
But investigators don't find any evidence of Lily. Next, Detective Hoadley takes a closer look at the early sightings of Lily that were reported a few weeks after she disappeared.
The persons supposedly that had seen Lily had never been interviewed, so I said, well, we need to establish if she's been seen after her disappearance. It makes it an entirely different investigation than if she was never seen afterwards.
Detective Hoadley tracks down the two friends, Elvis and Dario, who had supposedly seen Lily back in 2007.
We located Dario, who was still living in the Miami area, and spoke to him about it. And he said absolutely positively he had never seen her.
When Hoadley reaches Elvis and asks him if he'd seen Lily, he too says he did not. But his story is even more interesting.
Christian told him that if he would tell Lucelli that he had seen Lily downtown or seen and spoken to her, it would make Lucelli feel better and wouldn't be worrying about Lily as much. And finally, Elvis agreed to do that because Christian was paying for his drugs.
They were lying. They never saw her.
Hoadley thinks that Christian may have fabricated the sightings to cover up his own involvement in Lily's disappearance. Christian, however, vehemently rejects this line of thought.
I told nobody to say they saw Lily because I wanted, if you saw Lily, I wanted you to come to with your own merit and it to be a true, factual thing. And for reasons beyond my comprehension, he had said that I told him to say that he'd seen Lily, and there's no way that is possible.
It's still unclear what did happen to Lily. For one thing, Hoadley doubts she's been out wandering the streets without contacting anybody.
She would never have spent that amount of time away from her son without contacting her family. It just wasn't the way she was. Whatever her faults were, she cared deeply for her son and was very close to her mom.
I hate to say it, but if she was alive, she would have called. She would have found a way.
Detective Hoadley also looks into the crack house one more time as a possible site of foul play.
There's no evidence of any sort that Lily went to that house that night. There were some people that lived in that house that had prior criminal records, but there was nothing linking Lily to those people or to that house.
Now, with the sightings of Lily discounted and a murder at the crack house improbable, it appears more likely to Hoadley that something happened to Lily at Christian's condo. So he decides to sit down with the one person who might have some answers, Christian Pacheco.
I said, Christian, that doesn't make any sense that she would walk out and take a bungee cord and not take her phone, not take her money, not take her identification, not wearing any shoes, but she would remember to take a bungee cord. And he said, I thought she was gonna kill herself.
And then, Christian's story about Lily's attempt to hang herself in his closet changed.
At one point he says it was a tie, and another point he says it was a bungee cord, because he can't remember which to say.
Hoadley suspects that Christian may have made up the suicide story in order to mislead investigators. He convinces Christian to take another polygraph test, and the results, he says, speak for themselves.
He failed it. It showed deception in the knowing what happened to her.
Hoadley says, I don't know, he said I failed this other one. I don't know. I don't see how it's like, it's the nerves, nervousness or whatever it could be with this whole situation just, eats at me. And do I have guilt? Yes, I have guilt on that I didn't give her that compassion.
In April of 2011, the police search the wooded area near the condo again. But they find nothing, leaving Lily's mother desperate for answers.
Somebody knows something, somebody saw something, and I need to know where my daughter is, dead or alive. I need to find out what happened to her. She's my daughter, my only daughter.
Detective Hoadley has since retired from the Miami-Dade police, but his suspicions remain intact.
And I think sooner or later, the truth will come out. I believe she died that night. I don't know how she died. I don't think we've been told the truth.
Proof is that he failed the polygraph. Proof to me is that he was always avoiding me. Proof is that if he was about to marry my daughter, he would just make a phone call and ask me, in 4 years, how are you? How is Spalding? Do you know anything about Lily? I never got that. So to me, that's screaming guilt. He's hiding something.
Despite the accusations swirling around him, Christian Pacheco maintains his innocence.
If I had something to do with her disappearance, why would I force the police to take a missing persons report when I could have let that go as long as I wanted to, right? I had nothing to do with Lily's disappearance. There is nothing that I knew more than her leaving my apartment. And there's nothing I know, there's nobody I'd spoken with, there's nobody that I've talked to that has any idea, along with myself, about what happened to Lily that night after she left.
All Lily's mother and her friend Janet Forte can do is try to move on with their lives.
We need to find her. Her family needs some sort of resolution. I can't imagine her son growing up not knowing what happened to his mother and thinking that she abandoned him or something like that.
I kept moving forward because I have a tremendous gift, a tremendous blessing, which is Lily's son, which it happens to look identical. And it's just another chance for me to give my love to my daughter, to him, to learn from all these things. I still believe something is gonna happen. I have to. I have to believe that I'm gonna find out what happened to my daughter.
I knew then something was wrong because she was always on time.
Throwing her parents into a living nightmare.
I didn't want to know that this was really happening.
I was really hysterical.
A puzzling piece of evidence leaves investigators baffled.
There was a note with initials on it indicating like it was someone maybe that Tabitha had a crush on.
And disturbing theories surrounding her disappearance deepen the mystery.
This lady said, have the police look at this man because he had my daughter.
Leaving her family in agony.
It has been an emotional roller coaster since day one.
I would drive around looking for her. Couldn't find her. It about drove me crazy.
It's the morning of April 29th, 2003, in East Nashville, Tennessee. 13-year-old 7th grader Tabitha Tutors is preparing for the school day.
She was a good student. She made straight A's.
I would help her with her math homework. When I was in school, I was pretty good in math.
He was better at math than me, so I sent her to him. Tabitha had a good relationship with her dad.
Tabitha is by far the youngest of 3 siblings. Her brother Kevin is 25, and her sister Jamie is 21.
My wife was about to hit 30, and she wanted another child, so we had another. She was a little spoiled. She was our last child, and we spoiled her.
Tabitha was always the entertainer, I think, when she was a younger baby. She would always have this like little funny face that she would make, and she would like breathe in and out, and of course it got the entire room laughing. 1, 2. Play hide and go seek or read joke books, constant. laughing, and we'd had fights too. But yeah, she wanted to be just like me.
A tight-knit family, the Tudors make it a priority to spend their free time together.
Tabitha loved going to the racetrack. Every Saturday, we would not miss a race.
Tabitha is especially close to her mom.
Tabitha wasn't a particular 13-year-old. She was more like an 8-year-old. She hung on me like a leech. My car couldn't even roll out of the driveway without her wanting to be in it. So she went everywhere as I went. She was a cut-up, always cutting up, joking. She got that from her daddy. It wasn't from me. She'd get in the car and she'd be singing to the music. She liked singing.
Tabitha is an enthusiastic member of the choir at the Tudors family church.
She said she was going to be a singer.
Whatever my wife was doing, Tabitha would come in and do it. And then my wife even taught Tabitha how to make homemade biscuits. And Tabitha fixed them for us one time, and we ate them. That was real good.
According to the Tudors, their hometown of East Nashville is an up-and-coming neighborhood with a few rough edges.
In 2003, East Nashville was not the place that you really wanted to call home. But for me, I grew up here. I've always felt safe here. There's loud music in people's cars when they drive down the road, break-ins. But for us, we never had any issues.
We've lived here 30 years and we never had no trouble. I mean, nobody ever bothered us, and we don't never bother nobody else.
Nonetheless, the Tudors worry about their youngest child's safety.
I think my parents were more protective of her. She was the baby, their last one growing up.
Every night, Tabitha sleeps on the floor in her parents' bedroom.
She'll start out in her bed, and then when I wake up in the mornings to go to work, she's at the foot of my bed. And I asked her one time, I said, "Why do you do that?" And she said, "Because I want to be close to you." So I never stopped her.
The morning of April 29th begins like any other morning for the Tudors family. Tabitha's mother gets up for work early, while her daughter is still sleeping.
I worked for the Metro schools in the cafeteria. I got up at 5. I got ready for work. She was laying at the foot of my bed, and then I stepped over her and went and got ready for work.
And at 7 o'clock, I woke Tabitha up and told her, "Get on up, baby, so you get ready for school."
Some mornings she would eat breakfast here, and then if she has homework that she didn't finish, she would do it that morning before she left.
Tabitha was in good spirits after getting her school report card the previous day.
It had all A's on it. She was excited about it. I was proud of her.
Her father, Bo, heads to work at 7 a.m., and Tabitha spends the next few minutes reveling in her good grades.
I said, "I love you." She said, "I love you too, Daddy." I said, "Well, I'm leaving," and I left.
At 7:50 a.m., Tabitha heads out the door. Her bus stop is 1 block away at Boscobel Street and 14th Street.
And I told her, don't leave the house until like 10 to 8, because the bus run at 8. I said, they'd give you 5 minutes to walk up the hill and 5 minutes to wait on that bus.
Tabitha's mother has told her that if there are no other children at her bus stop at 14th Street in Boscobel, she should walk down 1 more block to 15th Street, where more kids will be waiting.
I've always told her, you don't sit up there on that wall by yourself to go down to the second bus stop.
Later that afternoon, Tabitha's mom returns home from work.
And when I got home at 1:30, she gets home at 4, and then she never come home on time. So I knew then something was wrong, because she was always on time. She was never late.
almost immediately, Deborah goes out to look for her daughter.
I allowed her 10 minutes for the bus to be late. And then I went up there, and she wasn't up there. And then there's kids up there said that they didn't see her. So I came back home. I drove up to the school, and I banged on the door and banged on the door.
One of the teachers gives her some alarming news. Tabitha wasn't on the bus that morning, and she never made it to school. Trying not to panic, Deborah heads home and calls Tabitha's friends to see if she's at one of their houses. But no one has seen her all day.
I got home at probably 10 minutes to 5. I was in a panic because, I didn't know where Tabitha was.
I received a phone call about 5 o'clock maybe. My mom asking what my sister had on that morning. And I told her I didn't know because I didn't see her. Why? And she said, well, your sister never made it home. We're calling the police.
At 6 p.m., a now frantic Deborah calls the police to report Tabitha missing.
By the time the police were called, she had already been gone for 8 or 9 hours from her bus stop.
The tutors tell police officers that they just found out Tabitha wasn't in school all day and hasn't been seen since the morning.
If she were abducted, that gives the suspect, 8 to 10 hours head start. We didn't know if we were looking for her in the Nashville area or she could have been anywhere in the country, just about in the time frame.
They wanted to know what she was wearing that day, and I just was folding her clothes the day before, so I looked through her clothes to see if I could figure out what was missing. And I believe she had on a blue top with blue jeans and white sneakers.
Investigators do an initial search of the tutor's house.
They went through some stuff, fingerprints. They took her hairbrush, her toothbrush to do a DNA. I had told them that her money was still here, and even her door key was still here. She didn't take her door key that morning because I was always here when she got home.
Tabitha has left behind all of her clothes and makeup and $20 in cash, with no clues as to her whereabouts.
Early on, it was just unknown, if she'd left the house. They just didn't know what happened.
Due to the lack of evidence and Tabitha's age, investigators suspect that she may be a runaway, so they don't issue an Amber Alert.
For an Amber Alert to be listed, there needs to be some type of reasonable belief that a child has possibly been abducted or is in danger. There was a possibility, at least, that Tabitha had left of her own free will, and there was no information that she was seen with a dangerous individual or that she was abducted.
But the tutors insist Tabitha would never have left home of her own volition.
Yeah, Tabitha wasn't a rebellious child. My parents, they were pretty laid back with us, yet they were strict. So we walked a straight line. Tabitha was afraid to get in trouble, I think. So I knew that she hadn't ran away or skipped school.
I tried to explain to the police that she wasn't a runaway. I told them they didn't know my daughter like I do.
Whether 13-year-old Tabitha is a runaway, lost, or missing, police know that time is of the essence. They execute a search along a 5-mile radius, touching the nearby Cumberland River and Shelby Park.
They did a pretty substantial search that night.
Concerned people from the tutors' neighborhood pitch in to help.
They were all searching everything with flashlights. And then the whole community came together when they found out about it and helped look for her. I mean, it was people I ain't even never seen before come out to look, and they searched and searched. I didn't go out and search for her. I was really hysterical. I didn't want to go nowhere unless she came back home.
It's been 24 hours since 13-year-old Tabitha Tudors went missing on her way to the bus stop in East Nashville, Tennessee.
I didn't want to know that this was really happening. I was trying to stay strong for my wife and my other 2 children.
We were, hoping that she was just going to come down the street or somebody was going to drop her off on the corner and she could come home.
After a sleepless night, the Tudors still have no news about Tabitha. But Tabitha's parents say they don't have any idea who MTL could be. While detectives continue to dig, an unrelated tip surfaces involving a possible eyewitness to Tabitha's disappearance.
There was a child that went to school with her. He told police that he seen her get into a red car.
The 11-year-old classmate of Tabitha's says that he was waiting at the second bus stop at 15th Street and Boscobel when he saw Tabitha walking toward him from 14th Street. And then a car appeared next to her.
He said the car came down Boscobel from 14th, headed toward 15th. He didn't give a very detailed description of the car, but he did say it was red.
The boy tells police he got a good look at the driver of the vehicle.
He said that it was a male black driving the car, and that she got in the car and the car went back out the way it had come in.
He said that Tabitha was in the car. He don't know if she got in on her own or if somebody pulled her in or threatened to make her get in. But he just said it was a dark-skinned guy with a baseball hat.
But the Tudors say Tabitha would never willingly get into a stranger's car.
I always told her, don't ever get in a car with nobody. My best friend asked to take her to school one day, and she wouldn't do it. She said, my mama says no, and she wouldn't go.
Based on the boy's account, investigators believe that Tabitha got into the car somewhere between the 2 bus stops on 14th and 15th Streets. Detectives decide to use tracker dogs to learn more about her movements.
They were given an article, I think some stuffed animals of Tabitha's from Tabitha's house.
And they went out the front door, they went to the right, went up the hill, and they crossed 14th at Boscobel and went down to the 3rd or 4th house, made a circle and come back, and they stopped.
The dogs lose Tabitha's scent in the middle of the block between 14th and 15th Street. It's the exact route that the boy described seeing Tabitha walk that morning before getting into the car.
I believe based upon the dog's scents, she went to the first bus stop and halfway down is when she was picked up.
Investigators look for the African-American male the boy described picking up Tabitha and the red car he was allegedly driving.
I was trying to figure out who had a red car, and I couldn't figure out if we knew anybody that had a red car, and we didn't know anybody that had one.
In the meantime, police discovered that Tabitha's classmate wasn't the only one to have seen her that morning.
There's a woman that lives on the corner house. She saw Tabitha walk into her bus stop the morning that she disappeared.
There was a man who saw her at the intersection of 14th and Boscobel. There was another lady who drove through who was familiar with Tabitha, and she saw her in that same area. There were at least 2 of Tabitha's schoolmates who saw her crossing over 14th to Boscobel. So there were at least 4 people that said they saw her.
The people that saw Tabitha that morning said she was holding something in her hand, looking at it, and we're assuming it was her report card. And she's proud of her all her A's and B's, and I guess she was just looking over it again.
Although the new eyewitness accounts give detectives a more precise timeline of when and where Tabitha was last seen, none of them reveal anything out of the ordinary. But within hours, investigators have a breakthrough closer to home. They learn of a man familiar to the Tudors family who matches the description of the driver of the red car.
Investigators started kind of taking a look at Jamie's boyfriend at the time.
My boyfriend at the time was a black gentleman.
He lived with Jamie in the Tudors' home some months before Tabitha went missing.
They just questioned him because of the dark colored skin with a ball hat. I mean, he wore ball hats.
Detectives find that Jamie's boyfriend was aware of Tabitha's routine and where she got on the bus each morning.
The investigators started trying to determine where he was on the morning that she disappeared and try to create a timeline and also find out what potential vehicle he might have been in.
Jamie's boyfriend tells police that he and Jamie weren't together at the time, and he hadn't stayed at the Tudors' home for months. And they find no connection to a red car. In fact, Jamie's boyfriend didn't own a vehicle of his own,
but was said to have sometimes driven Jamie's or driven different relatives' vehicles. There was really no direct link. He obviously knew Tabitha, and at one time they'd had a really good relationship.
Jamie's boyfriend also has an alibi for that morning. A friend he'd been staying with confirms they'd been together the morning that Tabitha disappeared. He passes a polygraph, and investigators find no evidence linking him to Tabitha's disappearance. With Tabitha now missing for 48 hours, investigators are once again on the hunt for a lead. They turn their attention back to the paper found in Tabitha's room, containing the initials MTL. They canvass people in the neighborhood and in Tabitha's school, and soon find a potentially promising match to the initials: the 18-year-old son of a couple who are friends of the Tudors. But when police question him, the hopeful development quickly falls apart. The young man was in school the morning Tabitha went missing.
There was no reason to believe that he had anything to do with her disappearance.
Investigators find no other evidence related to the note or the initials MTL. But within a few hours, a classmate of Tabitha's comes forward with new information.
One of Tabitha's friends had indicated that at least on one Saturday, she and Tabitha had gone to the library in East Nashville, and they'd gotten on a computer and gotten on apparently some chat lines or some chat rooms. The young girl was able to take investigators to the library and show which computer they used. That computer was taken and thoroughly examined forensically by our department.
While detectives anxiously wait for the results, forensic investigators scour the computer, looking for evidence of Tabitha's chat history. Then, later that same day, a local woman comes forward with an unrelated and disturbing story that police hope could lead them straight to Tabitha.
This lady went to Mrs. Tudors and said, you know, have the police look at this man because he had my daughter.
2 days after 13-year-old Tabitha Tudors mysteriously went missing while walking to her school bus stop, police zero in on their most hopeful development yet. A Nashville mother with 2 young daughters has just come forward with a troubling story about a man named Paul Davis. She says that 7 years earlier, in 1996, he appeared to take an inappropriate interest in her 10-year-old child.
She met this individual speaking to her daughter at school. He would have been in his late 20s, I guess, maybe 28 years old, and inquired with her daughter, you know, why are you talking with this older man? And she said, oh, his kids go here, or his nieces and nephews go here. You know, he's fine.
Despite her daughter's lack of concern, the woman tells police that she continued to have a bad feeling about Davis. 1 year later, in 1997, she says that the situation got worse when her older, 13-year-old daughter ran away from home. The mother's first thought was that Davis might have had something to do with it.
When she realized that her daughter had left, she went up to her room and started searching through her things, and she found this individual's name written on several notes. There were love letters written to him.
The woman's daughter came back home 2 days later, but her mother was convinced that Davis had had inappropriate contact with her daughter. Police track Davis down and bring him in for questioning. They find that he has a history of spending time with underage girls, most of them around Tabitha's age and blonde. 6 years earlier, in 1997, he was convicted of statutory rape and received 5 years probation.
So he became a pretty big person of interest.
Detectives find that when Tabitha went missing, Davis was living just 3.5 hours away in Kentucky. They also discover that he had made a trip to Nashville around that same time.
He'd come to Nashville earlier in April of 2003. He was seen at the market, at the four-way market, which is only a half a block from the Tudors' residence.
It just seemed like it fit, considering his back history and hanging around in our neighborhood, wanting to talk to young girls.
But when investigators construct a complete timeline for Davis, they realize that he has an alibi for the 29th of April, 2003, the day Tabitha went missing.
He was eliminated based upon his sister giving an alibi for him, saying that he was in Kentucky.
Investigators have no evidence against Davis, so the once promising lead is dead. Over the next few weeks, nothing new develops. The Tudors family suffers every day from the devastating loss of their little girl.
I would go down to the river, and I would walk those river banks from one end to the other, just to see if she was down there. I said, I'm walking the riverbank. I would drive around looking for her. Couldn't find her. It about drove me crazy.
My dad cried a lot. They cried a lot together. We did have a lot of people step up and help out in the beginning. But after a while, some of our friends stopped coming around as much because they didn't know how to comfort us or what to say, or, you know, it's a tough situation, so they choose just to stay away.
Despite their suffering, the Tudors do everything they can to get exposure for Tabitha's case.
We tried to keep the media informed of, you know, everything with Tabitha.
It's so crazy how this neighborhood has changed, Mom. But we found different things to try and get her name out. That was our first button. I think we made these ourselves. We just kind of popped them in there. And then we figured out that we could order them from a company. So we had these made. The bracelets say, bring Tabitha home. I wanted people to look and see what, you know, what my shirt said. And this one, still missing, is what it says on the bottom, to let everybody know that she's still missing, and it says, help me find my sister. They're worn out. Like the picture on this one is almost gone.
I love that picture.
Yeah.
Over the next few months, numerous tips come in, claiming that Tabitha was spotted in different Nashville neighborhoods. Police check out each and every one, but none of them go anywhere. Until September 12th, 2003, 5 months after Tabitha vanished, when news comes in that suggests extremely disturbing circumstances in her disappearance. A man named Millard Earl Smith has just been arrested in Nashville and charged with rape.
Millard Earl Smith. I heard that he lived on Fesser's Lane, which is about 4 miles from here. They thought that being he was out doing this, that he might have had something to do with Tabitha missing.
He actually made the statement that he is a predator.
On September 19, 2003, 5 months after 13-year-old Tabitha Tudors went missing, Nashville police arrest a man named Millard Earl Smith and charge him with the rape of a 17-year-old girl. The circumstances of the crime make detectives wonder if Smith could be involved in Tabitha's disappearance.
He was on his motorcycle and he came across a young couple. It was raining. He offered them a ride. He told them that he would have to take them separately, obviously being on the motorcycle. He ended up taking the boyfriend in one place and took the girl to this trailer and raped her.
Millard Earl Smith lived on Fesser's Lane, which is about 4 miles from here.
Although he doesn't match the description that Tabitha's classmate gave of the driver of the red car, Smith had been convicted of kidnapping, as well as solicitation of a minor in the past year. When Smith is brought in for questioning, detectives discover something that deepens their interest in him.
He did not own a car, but we did find out that he was helping his brother-in-law some in East Nashville who worked on different cars. So he could have had access to a red car.
While police dig into Smith's background and recent whereabouts, results come in from the forensic exam of the library computer that Tabitha used to chat online.
They were able to determine that Tabitha's username had been used on that computer, but they weren't able to find anything to determine what rooms and what she had done on the computer. There had just been so many people that have used it since that it kind of covered up the data.
If there's any evidence on the computer that could help police find Tabitha, it appears to be lost forever. In the meantime, Millard Smith denies any involvement in Tabitha's disappearance. He says he was on a camping trip with family at the time. Though his alibi is never confirmed by police, Smith passes a polygraph test, and investigators can find no evidence linking him to Tabitha. But he remains a person of interest.
He was investigated thoroughly, interviewed, polygraphed, and he really cannot be completely eliminated as a person of interest.
For the Tudors family, as time passes, the lack of answers becomes more and more of an emotional drain.
We had a lot of tips that have gotten our hopes up. Some were like, oh, this is it. Like, this is the lead. This is what's going to bring her back home. And then others, it's like, what are they even talking about? It has been an emotional roller coaster since day one.
Months pass, and the first anniversary of Tabitha's disappearance comes and goes. The Nashville Police Investigations Unit still works tirelessly, exploring every tip that comes in.
I have a 13-year-old at home, and I couldn't imagine her disappearing and me not having any idea what had happened to her. I feel like the burden is on me to try to get answers for the Tudors.
Tabitha's had several different detectives on her case. I can't tell you the number of detectives. And now currently we have Detective Jolly. We feel that Detective Jolly is going to be the man to solve this case.
3 more years pass, and the investigation goes cold again, leaving the Tudors family living in an excruciating state of limbo.
I could drive in my car, and I could hear her singing. And every day for like, I don't know how long, when I get in my car, she was with me. I could hear her, I could see her. She'd be sitting there like she's real. And she'll be singing to me. When I get to laughing, I know people probably thought I was crazy going down the road laughing because she made me laugh all the time.
In 2008, on the 5th anniversary of her disappearance, police asked local newspapers to print a story about Tabitha to put her case back in the public eye. The strategy works. In June, an unexpected tip comes in that contradicts eyewitness reports that police have been working with for years.
My wife's niece said that she had an employee that said Tabitha did not get into a red car that morning. That she had got into a green car.
5 years after Tabitha Tudors went missing, Nashville news outlets publish a plea for new information, and a brand new tip comes in, directly to the Tudors family.
My niece opened up a tattoo shop, and this guy came in there and was telling her that Tabitha had gotten into a green car.
He was riding his bike, and he stated that Tabitha did, in fact, get into a green car that morning. He said it was parked at the bus stop at 15th and Boscoville.
It's unknown why the witness waited so long to come forward. But this detail takes the case in a whole new direction. Investigators saturate social media with the new tip.
Detective Jolly immediately picks up on any tips and runs with them.
But in the days and weeks that follow, no new information comes in. Nor are police able to track down a vehicle matching the witness's description. It's another devastating blow to Tabitha's family.
I blame myself, you know. If it wasn't for my kids and my grandkids and my mom, I don't know what I would have done. My grandkids is really what kept me going.
The investigation goes stone cold. 8 years pass with no new developments.
Bo cried a lot with me, and at night when we go to bed, we would talk about her every night and everything before we go to sleep. And then we talk about her every day.
Then, on February 10th, 2016, 13 years after Tabitha's disappearance, the long silence breaks when detectives finally get a lead about the green car. A local woman tells police she just realized she knew someone who owned a car fitting that description back in 2003.
The young lady contacted me and said that she knew of a Hispanic male that lived within just a few blocks of the Tudors, that lived in a duplex and drove a green car.
The man's name is Juan. And police recognize that over the years, this isn't the first time that name has come up in the investigation.
Tabitha knew a man by the name of Juan that was 19 at the time she disappeared, that lived down the street from her, and that she would sometimes go down there while Bo was taking a nap in the afternoon, and that she allegedly smoked cigarettes with him. So when this particular tip about Juan came in, it caught my attention.
And police also learn that Juan was well aware of Tabitha's disappearance.
A woman said that her daughter was married to a man, his name was Juan, and he had gotten emotional and told his friend that he worked with that he owned a car like that, and he was afraid that they were going to be looking for him, and supposedly made comments about it wasn't supposed to happen that way.
Detectives find that Juan now lives just 3.5 hours from Nashville, in Louisville, Kentucky.
We interviewed and interrogated and polygraphed extensively.
Detectives confirm that Juan used to drive a green car owned by a friend, but the vehicle is no longer in his possession. So many years later, investigators have no luck finding it. Juan takes and passes a polygraph test. He maintains his innocence in Tabitha's disappearance. and says nothing that detectives find incriminating.
For whatever reason, this woman had really embellished and given information that was not at all accurate. We were able to eliminate Juan in Louisville, Kentucky. He had no connection to Tabitha whatsoever.
Today, 15 years after she disappeared, Detective Stephen Jolly is still actively investigating Tabitha's case.
They're following leads, going back to the very beginning, looking at everything, trying to pick up on anything that they may have missed.
This case is probably on my mind more than most of my other ones. There's just so much to it, and there's so many different avenues and different leads that it often comes to mind. It's been very challenging, but I really wish that I could be the one that could help them get the answers that they're looking for.
The Tudors are still doing everything they can to keep Tabitha's case in the public eye.
I think about my sister every day.
You still have hope that they'll find her?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Didn't take very long to answer that question.
No, we've never lost hope.
We'll get her back one day. We have thought about moving, and Tabitha's one reason why we haven't moved yet. Because where we live at is the only place that she knows where home is.
Tabitha's family says they feel as strongly today as they did when she disappeared, that she didn't leave home on her own.
I believe that day that Tabitha come up missing, somebody took her. I don't know if it's somebody that she knew or somebody that she didn't know, but they took her. I know my child didn't run away.
It's heartbreaking on all of us because we didn't get to see her graduate, didn't see her get her driver's license, and, you know, just a whole bunch of stuff. And she's got nieces and nephews that she hasn't saw yet, so she needs to get home so she can see them.
I sit and wonder, you know, she's 27. Would she have kids? And would she be married? And what would her kids look like? And definitely a lot of things run through your head after all these years.
We have her room just about the same way it was when she left. And I hope that one day that she'll come back home and see her room just like it was when she left.
It's hard losing your child, especially when you don't know where they are. I just want some kind of closure. That's all I need.
Age progression software suggests what Tabitha Tudors would look like today, at age 28. If you have any information on Tabitha Tudors or her disappearance, please contact Nashville Crime Stoppers at 615-742-7463.